2 years ago, 3 countries in West Africa did something that made France lose its mind. Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger didn't just walk away from ECOWAS, they built their own thing. And it's working so well that other African countries are starting to ask, wait, we can't actually do this ourselves?
In the Gulf of Guinea, a Tomahawk missile flies to an area never before struck by the U.S. military, northwest Nigeria, where locals picked up debris as nearby flames kept burning.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Traore Army. I think by now you guys know that we've changed from the Black Consciousness Movement channel to the Traore Army because of what was going on, especially during those times where the West just wanted to assassinate Traore and so on. Anyway, we're gonna start with what we showed you, which is obviously the divided states just bombed Nigeria. I think I have mixed emotions, and I think most people also have mixed emotions about it, because we're not quite sure whether it's for the good or for the bad. And then we're also going to talk about Nigeria sending, they have been struggling with being able to take care of Boko Haram, and then all of a sudden there's a coup in Benin, and apparently they want to restore democracy, so they send their fighter jets. And then I think based on that, I want to talk about how the Sahel leaders, my goodness, these Sahel leaders are, I think this is probably the 3 wise men that they're talking about in the Bible, to be quite honest, because I think the reaction on Nigeria sending fighter jets to them is just quite admirable. And then we're also going to talk about Charlie Kirk. There's just a lot of things going on. Candace Owens sat down with Erica Kirk, and after that everybody was really thinking that, oh my god, Candace just sold her soul out to maybe Erica Kirk or whatever, she's softened up and so on. And then the next day she actually interviewed a guy called Mitch, and they dropped the bomb. You're gonna have to listen to it. And then I think lastly we wanted to talk about what's going on in Burkina Faso. Obviously the good news about Traore being okay, that's my cousin's little boy, so it's quite noisy because this is Christmas. I'm in Oshawa, I'm visiting my cousin, so I say let me just quickly record something for my people, just so that they are, kept up to date with things, with what's going on in the world.
Now I want you to picture this. Before 2023, these 3 countries were basically everything people pointed to when they want to explain what's wrong with Africa. Niger was literally one of the poorest countries on the planet, even though they are sitting on uranium that powers French nuclear plants. Mali had French troops everywhere, supposedly fighting terrorism, but the violence kept getting worse. Burkina Faso couldn't make a single decision without checking with major donors in Paris first. There is an African proverb saying the one who plants the tree doesn't get to enjoy its shade. That was basically these 3 countries growing worth that everyone else harvested. Then in September 2023, they signed this charter and formed the Alliance of Sahel States. But here's what caught my attention. This wasn't just another trade agreement. This was them saying, we are done asking for permission. And the reaction was intense. Remember when ECOWAS threatens to attack Niger? Every single expert said these guys are finished. They can survive without external support. But then something wild happened. Nigeria's parliament voted against the invasion. Nigerian generals who were supposed to lead that war went on record saying, we can't fight our own brothers. Across the continent, people were posting on social media defending the Sahel's right to choose their path. You see, a friend of mine in Accra told me something that stuck. He said, I have never seen African leaders put African dignity over Western approval like this. But standing up to threats is one thing. Actually building something better, that's when movements fall apart. Except they didn't fall apart. While everyone predicted economic collapse, these countries did something no one saw coming. They pulled almost 900 million and created their own investment bank. Now think about what that means. For years, they had to go to commercial banks that would charge crazy interest rates for short-term loans that kept them trapped. Now they control their own long-term financial projects. But this is the part that made me sit up. Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso bought over 1,000 construction vehicles and said he's building 5,000 kilometers of paved roads in 1 year. Look, before he took power, the entire country had just 3,000 kilometers of paved roads. We are talking about from independence, that is around the 1960s, to 2022. He's almost doubling that figure in just 12 months.
So Traoré is now the new president of the Sahel, guys. So let's get into the stories. So welcome back to Black Consciousness Movement channel, guys. Okay guys, welcome back. So we're gonna start with the divided states, and I think you know by now why I don't call it the United States, because that country is definitely divided, like literally so divided. I'm not saying all other countries are not having like, you know, like differences and so on, but the divided state is the divided state. Anyway, so the divided state, as I said, just bombed Nigeria. Apparently, obviously they bombed ISIS or whatever they call it, the terrorist group Boko Haram, that are actually terrorizing Christians in Nigeria. Now the reason I'm saying I have mixed emotions is because on the one side there's Christians being killed, obviously, but on the other hand we know what has been going on when it comes to the West, you know, going from colonialism and so on, where the West create problems, just like they did with COVID. I mean, you guys probably, I don't think you guys are deceived enough to think that COVID was not kind of created in that sense. I think by now everybody knows, like, we know like what was happening during COVID. And I think it's only because Africans has been having so many sicknesses put on them that they survived COVID better than all the other countries, even though they were expecting us to die more than them, right? Yeah. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is we don't really know whether in this case, because I think there's very much proof that ISIS was created by the divided states some years ago, and even by Israel. Oh my God, we shouldn't mention that name, should we? Anyway, so because of that, I'm not quite sure whether I'm happy that the terrorist has been bombed or whether it was just kind of like just to get resources. But I think one of the things that I'm kind of like alerting or kind of like just realizing is that most people that are happy about it are actually living in Nigeria, and most people who are against it are actually living abroad. So maybe it's easier said than done, because maybe you are living abroad and that's why you're saying, oh, it's about resources. Because on the other side, I also have to say, like, my own opinion is that even though you have resources, when your people are dying, you eventually not gonna worry about the resources. So let's put a video on that's gonna talk about that, and then we'll come back.
By day, the grass was scorched and police cordoned off an impact site. This missile, at least in this remote rural area, apparently killed no one.
There was no loss of life and no loss of property.
A U.S. military official tells PBS NewsHour a ship off Nigeria's coast fired more than a dozen Tomahawks at 2 ISIS training camps. Local security analysts say the missiles hit in at least 4 locations, all in Nigeria's northwest Sokoto state.
Because of trying to fight the terrorists, innocent life could be lost. Lives could be lost in the course of trial, as that has happened in the past.
If they're intruding without permission, you're intruding by force, so you're not justified. Every country has the liberty of making their own decision.
Donald Trump's launch of airstrikes on northern Nigeria had absolutely nothing to do with saving Christians. It was never his intention. It is clear that it was a show of dominance and power for an absolutely different ulterior motive. I need you to start to critically think and ask serious questions like, why did Trump target these specific communities in Sokoto State in northern Nigeria, which have experienced zero or little terrorist incidents? Listen in.
We have spoken to a journalist on the ground in Sokoto who said to us that one of the communities hit by the strikes has never reported any incident of terror, and that the 2 communities hit simultaneously, there is only expected to be one where maybe potentially some hideouts of IS-affiliated fighters have been hit. Still very unclear, but in the community that has never reported any terror, they haven't had any casualties, but some homes of civilians have been partially...
Now you heard that. One of those 3 communities experienced no terrorism. The other one is another one maybe has had some. You mean you bombed Nigerians on a freaking maybe? On a maybe. You damaged homes? You hurt Nigerians on a maybe. So right now, when they are swooping in as savior, nah, it's not because they care. It's because it's to further their capitalist interests. And 2, they're using Sokoto State as the backdoor to Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. You know, the new axis of African power that is shaking the West to its very core. The West see it as a threat to its access to African resources and as a threat to the West's dominance on African people.
Okay, welcome back. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Nigeria apparently sent fighter jets to Benin. I don't know whether you guys, there was a coup in Benin, and you know that the coup means favorable to the Sahel regions, because the coup leaders obviously were definitely gonna join the fight for, you know, the freedom struggle of the Sahel and so on. So, and then Nigeria apparently sent fighter jets to Benin. I mean, you have Boko Haram that you can't even settle, and now all of a sudden you have fighter jets to send to Benin. That doesn't make sense, to be quite honest. So let's watch this video and see what's...
Yes, you cannot make this up. I'm trying so hard not to laugh, but we are not a serious country. Can you guys believe that Nigeria sent fighter jets to Benin Republic? In response to the attempted coup that happened, I was like, what? What light? Like, you cannot make this up. I'm so sorry. I need a minute, because, like, what the hell? What is wrong with us? For real? It's like we wanted to go and save the president of Benin from being overthrown, or what's that? Were we supposed to go and fight the soldiers that were trying to take over? Like, what exactly was that mission to Benin Republic? What's nonsense? Don't we have more than enough on our plate at home as it is? I don't understand. Don't we need more help than Benin Republic? Seriously, who is advising these people? What is the color of your problem? I know we have a huge problem with misplaced priorities in Nigeria, but this one is on another level. What kind of town hall meeting is this one? Because it is so far from Balab. In fact, let me tell you about the man that Nigeria is trying to go and save. because it's not as if the soldiers there don't have a reason for trying to take over. This man came in power in April of 2016. He promised to be in power for just one term. In fact, when he was campaigning, he said that he would change the presidential term limit to one limit of 5 years, just one term. 9 years after Uncle, he's running for another election. He has done 2 terms as it is. Now he wants to do 3rd term. The devil is a liar. He has captured the parliament. He controls the court. He wants to rule indefinitely. For months now, citizens have been accusing this man, Patrice Talon, of trying to turn Benin Republic into a one-party state. His supporters are saying that he's modernizing the country. Of course, they always have their supporters, but the citizens that are protesting on the streets, they are saying otherwise. Opposition parties are saying that the new electoral laws are designed to shut them out completely. Journalists and activists are being arrested left and right. Political rivals are being silenced.
The emergency landing of a Nigerian military plane in western Burkina Faso has reignited tensions between Abuja and the Alliance of Sahel States, or AES. In a statement read by Burkina's Minister of Territorial Administration on public television, the AES said the plane was carrying 9 military personnel and did not have authorization to enter Bukina Airspace. The alliance condemned what it called an unfriendly act that violated international law as well as civil and military aviation regulations. It warned that it has bolstered the security of its airspace and is ready to neutralize any unauthorized aircraft. The incident comes after Abuja sent military aircraft to Benin to defend the government from an attempted coup over the weekend. Nigeria says it was acting at the request of Benin's government and within the framework of ECOWAS mechanisms. There is a growing political divide between West African nations. The AES left ECOWAS in January, and trade between the 2 regional blocs has been suspended. The region has recently seen a string of military coups, most recently in Guinea-Bissau.
What if a Nigerian C-130 drifted into Burkina Faso's airspace and just 9 days later, Nigeria's top delegation had to land in Ouagadougou not to command but to plead with Captain Ibrahim Traoré? What if this airspace mistake isn't small at all, but a warning shot that could reshape West Africa and ripple into your everyday American life, from fuel prices to the kind of global instability that threatens pensions and peace of mind? In the spirit of what Traoré has been signaling to the world, it goes like this: we will not ask permission to be free. Our borders are not suggestions. If you want your people back, you start by respecting our sovereignty. And here's what makes this story dangerous for the old order. The harder he stayed silent, the louder the message became, because silence is the one weapon the powerful can't sanction. What looked unthinkable just happened. A regional heavyweight had to come knocking. And for 9 tense days, every capital watched the clock, because this wasn't only about 11 detained Nigerian Air Force personnel. It was about who gets to set the rules in the Sahel. Picture this: a country with one of the biggest militaries in West Africa ends up doing the one thing it swore it would never do. It sends its top diplomat across the border to sit quietly in a room and ask for a way out. Not because Burkina Faso is richer, not because it has more jets, but because, in the Sahel right now, the rules are being rewritten by leaders who are tired of being treated like a shortcut on somebody else's map. That is why this moment matters. On the 8th of December...
Okay, welcome back. As you can see that most people think that it's very suspicious and so on, but I'm just very, very proud of the way the 3 Sahel leaders handle this, because I feel like, you know, France was behind this. I think it's very, very obvious, since we can see that they have been watching kind of like, they have been sending Nigeria kind of information about where the terrorists, or where they, obviously they call them terrorists, but those are freedom fighters, to Benin in that sense. So they have been sending them where the, you know, coup leaders are, the information about where the coup leaders are and so on. And that's how Nigeria successfully got to install the guy that was overtaken and so on. So yeah, so in that sense, you are beginning to wonder, and you can hear on the videos that everybody really was against that and so on. But I think I'm proud of the Sahel leaders, because I feel like the whole thing was supposed to create a war. Because imagine if they shoot that Nigerian fighter jet like off the sky, which was actually the thing that was up, because you enter their airspace without permission. You are claiming that you are going to Portugal. Portugal actually saying, no, you were not coming to us for Benin, meaning that Nigeria were lying. So if they were lying, why were they lying? What was the reason for them to lie? Unless they were having, you know, some ulterior motives, right? So I'm so proud of Ibrahim Traore, Shiati, and Osimi Goita, the three Sahel leaders who are making us so proud. And by the way, having to talk about Traore, he is now actually the new president of the Sahel AES, which obviously you know, because previously it was Osimi Goita, who is actually the one that leads the whole movement and so on. I think, let me put this video, it's always interesting to put that video on.
23 assassination attempts on one man, and he's still standing like nothing happened. Meet Ibrahim Traore, the world's youngest leader, who somehow keeps dodging bullets like he's in an action movie. But here's what the West didn't count on. He's got backup that makes their nightmares come true. General Assimi Goïta isn't just any ally. This guy literally kicked out French puppets twice and started the entire African liberation movement. Now he's the boss of the Alliance of Sahel States, making him Traore's ultimate protector. The imperialists thought they were playing chess, but these African leaders were playing three-dimensional warfare. When French intelligence tried infiltrating Mali's army and turning Goïta's own friends against him, he caught their secret agents red-handed. While the West keeps throwing assassination plots and coups, the AES keeps getting stronger. 3 countries, 3 unshakable leaders, 1 unstoppable movement.
Kelly